Okay, let's fix a couple more things from this guy. First of all, colors. So let's go one by one. Okay, so we can press this button here to see what the camera is exactly going to render. Those are the limits that the render going to have at the end. In the 2008, I think you go to View and you set it there. So it's also in this little panel up here. So it's in View, I think, Camera. We want to change that. It's 1280 by 720. Want to change that. So if we go to Settings, for example, we're gonna go to Common. As simple as changing these guys from top to bottom. So we're gonna just take this one, copy and paste it up here, and put 1280 and enter. Now you see that the limits, you don't see them, but we're gonna be able to change that very easily, and that's the second step I want to mention now. If you go to the outliner down here, or window outliner, we can actually press perspective. We're in perspective, and change the attributes of that camera. Normally I like to use, in this case, instead of the attribute editors, by Control A, going to the channel box, I like to use the channel box instead. So you can change here the way you treat the aperture of the film, the lens, the focal length, and the other thing you can do is the lens squeeze ratio. So you see that how you're changing pretty much the ratio of the, still going to be 720 1280, but you're going to be able to treat that more efficiently. Another thing you can do is the focal length. You see how everything is changed. And I'm going to just put it in a nice perspective so we can work with that. Not symmetrical, but semi, a little bit more twisted. There's going to be like a little bit of shading here. So just place it in a neat angle. And what if we have an image or an angle and a view that we like? The best way to save that is through, if we go to View, Bookmarks, Edit More Bookmarks, and we say here New Bookmark, and we change the name like 1, and immediately we say Apply, and we close. So that sense going to be save here. Actually didn't change the name, but it's actually going to be there. You can go to and be whatever place, doing whatever thing. You can always go to Bookmarks and Camera View 1, and it will go directly to the view that you have saved. Very convenient, of course. So now I'm going to go to Materials by going to Window, Render Editor, and Render Settings, and also to Window, Render Editors, and Hypershade. Takes a little while. There we go. So just if you come back here after rendering and you don't see your materials here, this is only the working area. They're established up here, and let me close this for now. And they have the same characteristics as if we clicked them here. So don't worry, you haven't lost any information. So I'm going to Control A to get to the attribute editors, and for the floor I'm going to just change a little bit the color to a little bit darker. And I want a little bit more color as well, kind of reddish type of coloring. And in that material, another thing that I want to change, but we'll change that afterwards, is the way it is shiny, and that's going to be, if I extend this, it's going to be very easy done in glossiness. Up here, glossiness and the glossy samples, we'll do that afterwards. Okay, another thing we need to know, I'm closing again the Hypershade, is that we can just, I don't want to see this, remembering my limits of the camera, so I press here again. I want to just touch the sound that we created when we went to the settings, indirect lighting, and we created a sun and sky for Monterey. And what we can do here is a very simple thing. For this guy, we cannot, when we create it here, we cannot, well, we can do whatever we want with it, but it will only be affected by the rotation of this object. And if we rotate in different ways, it's pretty much going to give different angles of sun and shadow. Therefore, we can actually scale it as much as we want. It won't matter. What it matters is the direction, and we can also like move it, and that won't matter at all. It's not like we're moving the sun or anything. It would just it's parallel parallelly sending rays of from the sun position, so it's not going to affect that. Now the rotation is very important. If we rotate this guy, instead of having the shadows that we were having before, it's going to give us a totally different shadows. It's going to pretty much mark the orientation of the sun, no? Which is very, very important, of course. Um, Great. So let's render and see how this comes out. Remember, we go to view again, bookmarks and camera view one, and we go there. If we want to see how this looks, we press there, and we can render, and I'm going to pause it for the next step. Okay, it looks much better. Let's change four things that are necessary here. One, the clumsiness of the shape, it relates to how smooth this object is. That's going to be very easy to change. That's one. Another one is the reflection here. I don't know if you see it in the recording, but it's too sharp. I wanted more like less glossiness. And now another thing I want to change is like how diffuse the spread out is the limit of the perimeter of the shadow, no? So let's go to those things. Also, of course, that the burning is too strong, the intensity of the sun. Those are very easy things to change. Okay, let's go to the sun. If we press here the sun in the outliner, we're going to be able to go to physical sky and say multiplier. Let's take it by half, 0.5. That's going to actually make it much less burn, no? Because of the intensity of the sun. Another thing we can change here is a very simple thing in shadow softness in MI's physical sun 1. We can pretty much go here and say 5 and increment the samples to 20, and that's going to give us a more like soft shadows in the whole image, no? Another thing we wanted to do is go to the object by selecting the object, and we need to go to here in P cube shape 1 and to smooth mesh and increment that from 2 to 3, and that will give us more softness. You can take it to 4 and it will be even more perfect, but I think 3 is more than enough. For 2008, just remember you go to smooth here, but remember to save as so you can always come back and work with the model before that. So another thing is the material. For the material, we can do that afterwards. Let's render this and how it goes. I'll pause it afterwards. Okay, and this looks much better. The soft shadows here and here look very good. There's less intensity, so the colors are much better. The only thing I want to change now is how sharp the reflection is to give it a try. Let's minimize this, and I'm going to go to the window render editors and again to hypershade, and I'm going to pretty much select the material of the floor and change, as I said before. I click the material of the floor and change from it the glossiness, and the lower it is, pretty much the less glossiness it is. So the lower it is, you should increase the glossy samples to 20, for example. And let's take a little bit down, and I'm gonna now open the window of the rendering, and I create a little box here by selecting some area, and I can select this guy, and you will see the difference between this and the reflection versus this one, which is going to give like certain coloring, but not the sharpness of the reflections here. And I think this is a great moment to stop. I'll render the whole thing and show the last point, and I think it's more than enough. Okay. Okay, and I think it looks very, very nice, so I will leave it there. Stop it.